we were hoping that the government would phase out special schools, as it has constantly been proved that mainstream is possible when the will is there, and that it has a better outcome, a far better outcome than segregated provision. So we were disappointed, to put it mildly, when we saw the report and the recommendations that are coming currently from the DfES about their view of the future of special schools.
Because while people in this room have a strong commitment to inclusion, there are many parents who choose special schools. And if you look at the trends in terms of appeals to the SEN and Disability Appeals Tribunal, most of that is from people who want places in special schools.
I and my parents were given two choices. They said either stay at home and do nothing, or go to Worcester. So they were given Hobson's choice. I had no choice really. So I was forced to go there. There was no cultural awareness in terms of my culture, my diet. I was taken away from my family and friends. We were a sort of very close-knit family, so I was taken away from them. The first 4 years I can only describe them as traumatic. I used to cry myself to sleep. I don't want to sound sort of melodramatic, but this is actually what happened to me. I can't believe that I'm actually hearing here that the present government is willing to sanction or even entertain the idea that we're going to carry on with special schools. If it was up to me, I would have them all pulled down or burnt or whatever. It sounds extreme. Obviously with no one in them, but.
Now this special school, I have to say, I was very closed in, and it was like a prison cell to me. Yeah. I think that special schools should be dumped, because it's out of fashion nowadays, really, on that one.
In fact, I reckon I lost about 4 or 5 years of formal education, but I've used my time since I left school to learn what I can from whichever, wherever I go. And I think that's sort of given me the ability to think outside a box.
Basically, I can't, I'm just disgusted that the government is sitting there saying they want to bring back segregated education. I went to a segregated school because it was seen as another option, because how the hell could I cope in mainstream? I was too fragile for any teachers to cope with me. And I spent half of my time hospitalised, so damn, I wasn't educatable anyway. We had no English teacher, we had no maths teacher, we had no woodwork teacher. We had teachers who felt sorry. We went into years and they said, okay, I've got a disabled kid. And you thought, yeah, so, and your point is, what next, yeah? Move on, I'm here to learn. I think a damn goes on in your family life, really. That's the part of segregated education. You had your mainstream schools next door, and they may come in and see you play music for the day, and it's so great that these disabled people can sit round and play music, how wonderful they are. Let's put on a nice, I'm going to be on PC, spazzy trip, we'll take them up to Malden, we'll, get them all together. These things are just not cool. You then come out of school, you've got no friends, you're like a proper nerd on the street, wandering around begging for a friend. How can we say segregated education is cool? We just can't, You think I'd come out of, A-star GCSEs, wouldn't you? 4 people in the class. Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Well, I come out of jack shit. Because there was no teachers who were able to teach you anything. So what they've done is they looked at your impairments. So they put all, classroom impairments. It was a hierarchy system again.
I witnessed physical and mental abuse of disabled children in that school every single day. Where could those children go to voice the violations that were happening to them? We were fully institutionalised. The people that were working in those schools were they were animals. They really were. They were not interested in educating us at all. They were interested in controlling us. I left that school despising myself and my impairment, but also being fairly hateful of other disabled people because of the experience of school. I left school and went to a mainstream college, and I was faced with an alien race of non-disabled people. I had no idea how to even say hello to these people. Nothing at school prepared me for the terror of the non-disabled world. We were all wrapped in cotton wool. So 20 years down the line, people are experiencing the same oppression. I don't understand what the government are thinking about, that you even begin to consider that special schools have a place in a civilised society. They don't. They absolutely don't. And I can't believe 20 years later you still think that they do.
We felt as if we were pushed into a corner between choosing a special school or having our son excluded, and then I was taken to home education, and I couldn't place that. And what I asked the teachers used the key scales in his mainstream school, and he was educated on his own. So like, this is the classroom, he was there on his own table with his LSA, so he might have been in the room, but he wasn't included. And his playtimes were at different times to the rest of the children, because they didn't know how to manage his behaviour. So a lot of work needs doing around it, like someone said, it's not just a formal education.
My own daughter, who is 18, has learning difficulties, and I think probably from her impairment would probably one of these people for whom the government seems to think special schools should be kept for. And I think our experience as parents in having our children in a hostile world where generally speaking our children are not welcome right from the beginning, where we're encouraged in fact to abort children, not even to carry to term a child with an impairment, enter into a hostile world where to find role models, to find the disabled people who are gathered here, who could be a real ally and support to you in bringing up your child, is so difficult, because that is the legacy of segregation.
I went to a mainstream school most of my life, and I really feel quite angry and disappointed that the government chose who I should be educated with and who I should have my first friendships with, and selectively chose the children that were right for me to grow up with and that were right for me to be educated with. I don't think it's just about seeing it from being disabled children missing out. I think everyone in society misses out by not being able to kind of... Having a segregated school system will result in a segregated society. It's simple.
Grace McKeith is a young woman who has been active and campaigning for inclusive education ever since she was a young child. She's a young woman who has no speech communication, but was the first young person ever allowed to take GCSEs and A-levels using a facilitated communication board in England, in mainstream school.
She's written this for this meeting. I think that to have an education system that leaves out some of its young people hidden away in the so-called care of special people is to create a demon race that can't be handled by ordinary people. This demon race will in turn be surrounded by a mystique which sanctifies those who care for them and creates a separate class of crazy subhuman beings who can't have ordinary friends and make ordinary mistakes in learning how to live. The more elite we get in making a cream of academic young people who are pushed through a system of circus hoops to get a recognition they should have anyway, the more there will be people who the system will think are too much trouble or beyond the pale. How can we reap the good thinking of those who don't fit the present system if we make them into outsiders? Do we really want the world to stay the same with its horrendous discrimination and fear of impairment? Resources now going into eliminating impairment could be put into assisting those of us who need help to express our thinking. Our world could then move into a place where it could see the craziness of backing war and destruction when our children have no opportunity of making relationships with people who have different needs from their own, or of negotiating where time and energy would be most profitably used. Maybe it's worth trying to reduce the crime on our streets by making people feel they are a success, by putting energy into helping people make friends. We would learn to care with skills that very few people dare to look at learning, enabling the world to see that people's worth is not what they can do. We are looking at the future, not making past mistakes invisible with the pretense that they weren't made. I am a special school survivor. Mistakes were made with me. It was ordinary teachers and ordinary young people who had confidence to listen to me. Yes, we need expertise. I need an unusual speech therapist who had to leave her job in the system so she could gain the skills she needed to help me. We need the expertise in the context of real inclusion, not added on to a already selective system of who is worth teaching and who is not. I was not considered worth teaching. I want to give to the world. I watch, listen and think. I'm not distracted by endless things to do, as I cannot do them. I need help to express myself, as I can't talk on my own, and if I didn't have physical help, I would die. I can still give. The experience of being hidden away with the assumption that I was worthless still haunts me with a terror I can't describe. Nobody should be put through that, yet there are hundreds forcibly excluded from life every day. Listen to us, we can teach you. I think if you don't, the world is truly on its way to destruction.
I am the youngest person here, so I'm probably the person that's most recently come out of the system. And I just kind of wanted to make a point, because in my work otherwise, I've done a lot of work with the United Nations doing work around young people's participation internationally. And I just have to say, on a global scale, in whatever community or country you're in, there is nothing more damaging you can do to young people than to separate them from each other. There is nothing more damaging. It is the cause of all conflict, it is the cause of oppressors and people having stuff, people that don't have stuff. This is what causes problems everywhere in the world. And one of the pieces of research that I did with an organisation called the Children's Rights Alliance for England, which is a nationally recognised organisation, was a consultation of young people of all abilities about what they thought about education. And 98% of those young people said that the first and most important thing about their school experiences was the relationships they got to have with each other. And it's evident that good learning, good education, and being able to think well comes from being happy, and being happy comes from the relationships and the friendships that you have. Like, that is fundamental, I think, to everybody.
There is no place for special schools in an inclusive education policy. It's the same thing, I suppose, as saying, if you're talking about inclusion on race, you know, saying we'll have schools for black children only, run by white people, isn't obviously the right place.
I'm now 40 years old. As far as I'm concerned, the education system let me down. The whole system has discriminated against me from living a normal life. I've had to fight for my rights. Every time I've tried to get somewhere in my life, I've been discriminated against by the government. Your consultation really wasn't worth it. It was not worth it at all. And I think that you should feel ashamed. And so should he, for number 10.
Where children are told that they do not need each other, that what they need is adult professional care and not friendship. That by putting that message into those young people, you are setting up a permanent divide between disabled and non-disabled people. And all of us here, all the disabled people here, and all the parents here, live it every single day of our lives. This should be the final voice. should be the one that makes policy, because it's our lives, it's the lives of people here. And it feels to me that to continue a system without hearing that voice, at the very least hearing the voice and documenting that voice, is leaving parents who legally do make that choice currently in a position of complete ignorance about the choice they're making. There are wonderful examples of inclusive education, and very few people know about them. But there are, and when I talk about that, what I'm talking about is schools where the entire school culture has learnt to embrace diversity and value those children. That it's become what the school is. It's nothing to do with a few of them coming on a Thursday afternoon and using the gym or any of these things, which in fact reinforce segregation. Actually, they make it worse. And I've experienced it in my special school. And actually, you need to talk to people that have experienced that before you even begin to contemplate that and think it's a solution. It actually makes it worse. It's like going to visit a zoo.
I think the government also needs to understand what does inclusion mean. Yeah, I think that's something that they need to work with, and then work with organisations of disabled people to say, you know, what is it, what is our definition, and create some policies and procedures and guidance.
I've been in between step, but obviously long term to close the schools.
You need to follow the stories of people that have come out of the system, because it looks to me like there's a lot of confusion about whether or not special schools can actually produce successive results, and young people that come out confident and able to work and have inclusive lives. And I would say it doesn't happen, but there seems to be a lot of misconception that it does, and the only way I can think for you to see the real picture is to follow on a large scale the lives of these people from the very beginning until to their adulthood. Like, you have to just look at what actually happens.
What needs to be done in one word: communication. There needs to be communication from the top down in a way that in forms that everybody can use. There also needs to be communication going the other way, so that everybody is clear on what's happening.
What I think is that the government needs to set an end date. I think that would change everything. Even if that end date was 20 years, no, not 20 years, 10 years away from now. If within 10 years there will be no more segregated schools, that you've got a 10-year run-in to get mainstream into shape. I think that would change everything. I think it's the view that they're always going to be there that leaves everybody doing nothing. The other thing is that the recognition of the expertise of people that have lived, eat and breathe these issues. Because we've lived through it ourselves, because we've raised children through it, because it's all we talk about, it's what we see, it's what we do, because we go to many schools, we see good practice, we see what's possible, and it seems like I don't understand why it's still the voice that is never consulted. Other than it's a voice people don't want to hear.
Just two very quick points. I'd like us to be very explicit here that the voice of disabled children should be absolutely at the centre of all discussions about where they go to school. And my last point, which feels a bit of a cliche, but I think is important, which is that disabled children have a right to education. It is not a special need.
I'm surprised after all we've heard today. We're not expecting sea changes, but I'm still hearing the same sort of tone. About like special educational needs, and we have difference of opinion. What is that difference of opinion?
I think ministers have said that they think there is a future role for special schools for some children, and that is, a choice that's made by quite a lot of parents. At the same time, they want to see mainstream schools welcoming all children and being confident about how they teach all children, and we're very committed to that. I think, what we're talking about is a change agenda.
Call it segregation then, don't call it inclusion. Say what you're doing, you're creating segregation, say it.
We're not creating segregation.
You are. You are.
education, like non-disabled children, like black children. That's the problem. That disabled children, disabled children are the only group that do not have an absolute right to. And I think if we guarantee that, then all this falls on the waistline.
Yeah. You didn't consult with everybody. You've done a research to get the answer that you wanted to get.
And you're hearing what you expect to hear.
You want special ed and that's it.
Yeah. I can see we're not going to persuade you.
It's like going to South Africa and saying, going to the ghettos and saying to the white people, do you want us to mix black people? And they're going to say, well, no, because we're doing quite fine as it is, people where they are. So you've done more research with a certain group of people that you wanted to get the answer to that.
And it's actually one of the first times in all the times we've been running the Alliance that we managed to record some of the voices of people that have been through the system. So I'm very glad this happened.
We've done crap like that. You've done music mainstream schools. Yeah, we've done that. We've done crap like that. You've done music mainstream schools. Yeah, we've done that. We've done crap like that. You've done music mainstream schools. Yeah, we've done that.